Hello everyone, this is Vince at Practical Performance. Today I am helping a friend install a VinceBar kit in his very nice Alpina B3 3.3 Touring. And I thought I'd take the opportunity to shoot some videos. He has started, he's kind of halfway installing traditional plates. This is, as a side note, this is a February 2000 built car. It has the older style RACP. Has minimal amount of cracks. We're going to be opening up and installing the gusset cups. That's the first thing we'll do, and then we'll move forward. Well, actually rearward, of course, and install the VinceBar. As this is a touring, there's some extra beams and stuff here. That's a little bit of a challenge to get the tools in here and stuff like that, but we'll be shooting some videos and sharing them with you. So our first step is going to be drilling up through the subframe mounts with the supplied 10.5 millimeter drill bit, and I'm going to be also using some oil to go easy on the drill bit. So we're going to be drilling up through the mounts, and because of the angle, we're going to be coming up through this surface here. Going to be holding the drill bit steady, fairly high RPM, and then just feed it easy. Okay, so as you may have seen, there's a couple of layers that you cut through when you're drilling here, and you get a really nice hole down that way. So what you want to do is with fairly high RPM, and then just feed gently, go through that last layer, this slanted layer here. Otherwise it's going to pull to some direction. Okay, so these brackets here, they are used on the Touring, on this car here. It's used to hold a piece of the back seat that doesn't fold. The back seat on the Tourings fold higher up, actually, because the floor is higher up. So there's an additional piece here that my friend is bringing right here. This piece here with the ISOFIX stuff here, and it's these brackets here that go down into them. So on the Touring, they are necessary. On the sedan and the coupes, at least the ones with the folding seats, you really don't need them. Why I'm pointing that out is we need to cut these off to get the gusset cup there, and we're going to reinstall them using a custom bracket. So to get these off, we're going to drill out the spot welds. I'm going to use a punch, try to get the center of it, and then use a special drill. Thank you. So this, see if that shows. So spot weld drill to get the spot weld out. So this is a little bit finagling. You need to cut just enough and not too much, because we don't want to cut too deep into the actual panel behind. Okay. So the challenge is to keep it perpendicular to the surface.
Yeah, I think we need to use a tool.
Yeah.
Because we go too deep, then we go through.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Gently does it. Okay, so that was both of the brackets. We're going to save these, again, because it's a touring and we need them. We're going to be either riveting or welding them onto a small piece of sheet metal and probably screwing them on over the cup of the gusset cup later on. Okay, so the next step is using the hole saw. So this is the bore, the hole saw, and the drilling guide rod that's supplied within the toolkit, the optional toolkit. What we're going to do here is first of all, I greased it. This is stainless steel, and for it not to be galling and stuff like that, I greased it, and we're going to gently be pushing it down into the hole. So this is now a 10mm rod. The hole is 10.5, so the fit isn't exact. There's a little bit of a movement. That's fine. You just want to be keeping it as still as you can. When this is rotating and hitting the slanted surface, it's going to pull in one direction. I think it's going to be pulling this way if I remember correctly. So just gently keep it straight. Again, fairly high RPMs, and then feed it slowly so you don't tear up the sheet metal. This is really thin and flimsy. As far as we can get in the first pass because of the depth of this and the height of that. So what we need to do now is fold this out. See if we can do that with that. There you go. Fold it out, fold it over, and then get this in behind, and then do the last part. We need to be careful not to cut too deep into the actual panel there. So let me see if I can get some light in there. That's pretty much what it looks like before we clean this up. So having cleaned up with a vacuum cleaner is your best friend when you're doing this. It gets messy. We can see that, so we did the left side first, the right side secondly. I didn't film that, but as you can see here, even though I was careful, it is very easy. It's flickering for some reason.
The LED light.
Oh, because of the LED light,
yeah,
of course.
If you get higher up, it stops.
Okay, there we go. So some tips from the coach. So you can see I had it at a slight angle. It actually sort of what do you say, it got stuck when I was going through the last part, so it sort of jerked, tipped the hole saw, and you can see it slightly marked the panel there. So be really careful when you cut through that last part. So the next step is, let's see if we can you hold that lamp there?
Yeah.
So there's a small ridge here, sort of a, small ridge. That's the best I can explain it. We need to flatten that down. We also need to flatten the MIG welds here. So this is how, can you hold that just a little bit over here? There you go. So this is how part of this panel here is welded to the actual the subframe mount, these MIG welds here through those holes. So these can be more or less centered. These are less centered. Luckily so you can see there's still some gap there. That's because these are probably manually MIG welded at some point. The burnt off color, the paint there, is because they have been installing the underside plates, by the way. So anyway, this is where the mounts typically crack on the top side. This Alpina has probably been very well kept, been gentleman's driven. This is not cracked at all. This is actually the first E46 that I've opened up that I've not seen cracked. So that's really encouraging. So anyway, again, we're going to be flattening that. We're going to be grinding down these welds, and then we're going to be roughening the surface later on for the epoxy to bite. We're going to be installing the epoxy rivet kit. We're also going to be putting the cup over. We're going to be marking, tracing the outside with a felt pen, and we're going to be removing the paint and the seam sealer. So there we go. We took one of the gusset cups. This is going to be sitting inside of that hole down towards the top of that panel there. I put it on and used the felt pen to just scribe around, and then I realized that I forgot to just indicate the center of this bracket here. So I put it back on, hold it back on, and just indicated the center here, down there, and the center towards the height over there, so we can sort of eyeball this into place later on when we install the cup, because this rivet, pop rivet there is, sorry, the spot weld, sorry, is going to be covered by the gusset cup. Okay, so next step now is to remove the seam sealer and punch down the ridge, grind down the MIG welds. Okay, so we scribed the outside of the cups on both sides. There's a bit of this asphalt sort of sound deadener here that we used a knife to just get rid of. We're trying to avoid getting too much of a mess inside the car. So as I'm going to be using this abrasive kind of rotating thing, excellent tool. This is very efficient on paint and seam sealer and stuff, and very it doesn't, you know,
it's not so aggressive on the metal.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Okay, so I recommend using a tool like this. So I have two different sizes depending on sort of the area we're going. I'm going to be grinding like this while my friend is holding the vacuum cleaner there, and hopefully we're not going to get too much of a mess inside the car. So we have ground off the paint and the seam sealer. That worked fine, apart from the seam sealer is making a mess all over the place, and the roof and all over the place. So we actually ended up using this cardboard to hold it just over as we were going. If you can scrape it off with a chisel or something, that's a better idea actually, to get most of it off. Next step is to grind down the MIG welds. I'm going to be using the Dremel tool with a grinding disc. Okay, so I ground down the MIG welds and I used this punch here. There we go. So I use this punch here to punch down the ridge. So we have a flat surface now. Next step is to put the cup in and screw it, you know, tighten it using a wheel bolt here. And we're going to be drilling out the holes for the rivets. But before we can do that, we will use the threading tap that's supplied with the toolkit and thread it up through from the bottom side up to get threads through the newly drilled hole here. And as we move forward, we're also going to be adjusting this flimsy sheet metal here that's been pushed in on one side and pulled out on the other side to get the fit as tight as we can possibly get it. We're also going to be, as we have screwed this down, tightened it in, punched down, hammered down this edge here, because we have a gap there right now, before we can drill that hole. Okay, so on the right side, we opted to use a knife to cut off most of this the seam sealer, so we don't have that sort of just all over the car. You can see how we've ground down the MIG welds, punched down the ridge, also threaded through. I'm not sure how much that shows though. So we're just gonna get the paint off here, and then we're gonna move on to bolting the cups in there and drilling the rivet holes. Two details I want to point out. This after using the hole saw, there was still an edge here on the sheet metal, this sheet metal skin here. So I used the Dremel to grind it down. Also, to make a more even surface, flat surface here, I'm using a pair of pliers to just sort of smooth out this indentation here, so we get better adhesion with the epoxy later on. Small detail, but I would say pretty important. And also another thing, we'd rather have the sheet metal sort of pulled outwards a little bit than pushed inwards, because once we tighten down this cup, it will push the sheet metal back in. So we want it as tight fit as we can possibly get. So therefore I'm pulling this out a little bit. Okay, so I've tightened in the gusset cup using a wheel bolt. This is a bit funny looking locking wheel bolt, but doesn't matter. I've been careful to sort of adjust it to the best position possible, tapping it in, and also over here obviously you need to top that down to get the tightest possible fit you can. The rivets later on will clamp them together, but the tighter the fit you can get, the better. This here we're gonna adjust later on. It just sort of springs back right now, but we know that we need to bend that down a little bit further. Okay, so the cups are adjusted, and I'm about to drill using the one of the two supplied 3.25mm drill bits that's in the optional tooling kit. This is pretty straightforward. Just be careful not to push it too hard into the cavities, because you can hit something and break the drill bit. You only have two, so you're going to be doing 20 holes here, and there's a bunch more on the bar in the back as well, so just be careful. So there's a couple of places where there's multiple layers, or at least 2 layers. Was very thick over here.
I think it's for the seatbelt holder.
Correct, and we're just happy about that, to get some grip in something else than just the outer skin. So that's it, and then same thing on the other side. So now we prepped both of the front gusset cups, and as we're going to be riveting and epoxying at the same time, we have now moved on to the rear bar and removing some of the seam sealer to get a tight fit. We want the bar to be sitting on top of the panel here, so we can scribe and sort of get the outlines of where to cut the opening. The plastic, this one here, these 2 covering sort of things, covers, they're actually reusable in the VinceBar. Just a little side note, it's to make a more of an OEM look later on.